This is Ollie from History Profiles, and welcome to another video. Today I will tell you of the story of the Satanist knight who practiced torture, sacrifice, and the worship of the devil. Gilles de Rais was born into a rich French aristocratic family in the year 1404. He grew up in his family's castle, but when Gilles was just a boy, his mother fell ill and died. Shortly after, his father was killed by a boar in a hunting accident. This left Gilles as the heir to an enormous amount of money. However, due to his young age, this fortune was controlled by his grandfather, Jean de Craon. He was a very intelligent boy, speaking fluent Latin as a child, and spent a lot of time training to be a warrior and reading. On the 30th of November 1420, his grandfather further increased Gilles' fortune by marrying him to Catherine de Troyes of Brittany, who was the heiress de Poitou, which was a province of west-central France. From 1427 to 1435, Gilles served as a commander in the royal army, being the intelligent man of action he was. He even distinguished himself for bravery on the battlefield during the 100 Years' War. During the capture of Lelude Castle, he climbed a siege tower and made his way to the ramparts. He then killed the famed, feared English captain Blackburn in single combat, in plain sight of all his men below. He even fought beside Joan of Arc in the campaigns against the English. He was gifted as a warrior and managed to survive every encounter he faced on the field. He was made a Marshal of France, which is a military distinction awarded to generals for exceptional achievements, conveying his greatness on the battlefield and mindfulness when commanding men. However, it is also said that the sight of absolute carnage dazzled him, and his sadistic nature started to show at this time. As a warrior, this merely enhanced his status. In 1435, Gilles withdrew from military and public life. He ordered the construction of the Chapel of Holy Innocents. The chapel was lavishly built, on the scale of a great medieval cathedral, inside having solid gold ornaments. Gilles had a love of music and liked to travel the country with people of the choir, so he could always hear their angelic singing. However, he began squandering his immense wealth by producing theatrical spectacles. One was called The Mystery of the Siege of Orleans. This required 400 speaking roles and 500 extras. In addition, each actor had a costume custom made, and it was then discarded for subsequent performances. To add to all this, there were unlimited supplies of food and drink for the spectators, all at his expense. This venture was hemorrhaging money. Gilles was almost bankrupt at the time of the production and began selling his property to support his new lifestyle. He began to borrow money heavily, now using his personal valuables as insurance. Gilles no longer commanded the respect he used to. He was also in debt and broke. So he then decided to turn to the devil for guidance. He would first seek individuals who knew of alchemy and demon summoning in order to gain knowledge of the secret world of the Luciferians and the occult. He contacted Francois Prelanti, an Italian priest and alchemist. Gilles then managed to get his hands on a grimoire, which is a textbook of magic, which includes instructions of how to summon supernatural entities such as spirits and demons. Gilles took part in rituals and attempted to summon demons. He had a contract ready, willing to sell his soul for riches. After 3 attempts of trying to summon the demon, he grew infuriated. He had the will, but just no results. Pralanti then told him the demon would require an offering, that being a child. Gilles began abducting children and did unspeakable things to them during his satanic rituals. The child's fate would always end in death. It is said that Gilles murdered up to 200 children, all of them young boys. They would be abducted from surrounding villages, from his estate. They would then be taken into a special room where the ceremonies would take place. Once the children were in the presence of the satanic ritual, their fate would be sealed. Gilles often cut the bodies of the children open and took great joy in sitting on their stomachs as he watched their eyes become lifeless. On May the 15th, 1440, Gilles kidnapped a cleric during a dispute at a church. The church had to act. They began an investigation led by the Bishop of Nantes, during which evidence of Gilles' crimes came to light. Following the investigation, Gilles and his manservants were arrested on charges of murder, sodomy, and heresy. There were extensive eyewitness testimonies from peasants from neighbouring villages, saying their children had entered Gilles' estate, begging for food, and were never seen again. Gilles' accomplices quickly confessed after being threatened of torture. The court already had so much evidence that they had cancelled the plans of torturing Gilles for information. The exact number of victims was not known, as most of the bodies were burnt. However, the number is somewhere between 100 and 200. He was to be executed by hanging and then burning. Gilles confessed to all his crimes and made a request to be buried in a church, which was granted. On the 26th of October at 9 o'clock, Gilles was to be executed. He was hung. His body was then cut down and consumed by flames. If Gilles ever contacted a demon and made an oath with the devil, it was all in vain. He did not again acquire the riches he had before. He kept his part of the oath, being his soul now belonged to Lucifer. However, the other part was never kept, and his riches were not restored. As we can see, he did everything in his power to please the devil, delving into the occult, and committing unspeakable acts to vulnerable children in order to please his new master. Even though the church granted him salvation by allowing him to be buried in a church, his name and soul will always be tainted and belong to the devil. However, there is a conspiracy that he was framed by the Catholic Church. Why the Church would want his name to be disgraced, tied with Satanism and the most abhorrent crimes known to man, is disputed by historians. Due to the fact that the Catholic Church had so much wealth and power, they could have paid off peasants for false testimonies and his manservants, but they were executed themselves. The truth behind the matter will probably never come to light. Nevertheless, one thing is beyond doubt. Dark forces lingered back then and crept into the hearts of even the most righteous of warriors. Gilles may have let himself be consumed by darkness, but that same darkness and those same beliefs the Satanists have live on till this very day. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you next time. Bye.